Welcome back to the MMA Explorers. Today, let's get started with Dricus Du Plessis breaks down his toughest opponents. UFC middleweight champion Dricus Du Plessis recently reflected on his career and named the most challenging opponents he's faced, with different fighters standing out for different reasons. In terms of pure technique, Du Plessis gave top honors to Israel Adesanya, calling the former champion the most technically skilled fighter he's ever shared the octagon with. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like on this video to support the channel. Let's aim for 10 likes. However, when it comes to sheer grit and toughness, Du Plessis pointed to Brad Tavares and Sean Strickland. According to the South African powerhouse, both men brought relentless pressure and durability that made their fights particularly taxing.
My toughest opponent to date, well, that's a very open-ended question because there were fights that were the hardest for me. I have to say probably Adesanya was the best guy I faced in his specific area. Probably the fight I was the most nervous for. Just in terms of how good he is, he can catch you with anything, anytime. You know, all the time I spent looking up to him and studying him because he was the benchmark. Knowing what he's capable of. I think he is the best guy I've faced, and obviously if you watch that fight, it was one hell of a fight. It was a tough night at the office for both of us. And but then when you just go on pure toughness, you have to go with either Brad Tavares or Sean Strickland. Just the amount of damage they were able to take and just keep going.
Khabib reveals why he turned down $100 million to fight Floyd Mayweather. Khabib Nurmagomedov may have walked away from MMA undefeated, but it turns out he also walked away from a staggering payday, all in the name of legacy. During a recent Q&A session in New York, the former UFC lightweight champion revealed he once turned down a $100 million offer to box Floyd Mayweather, citing deep personal and moral reasons for rejecting the bout. Khabib said, "This is a money fight, but I will never do this because I respect legacy. If you talk about Mayweather as a man, nobody wants to be like him. Look at Muhammad Ali. He's not with us, but he inspired billions of people, not just Muslims." Khabib's decision highlights his continued commitment to principles over paychecks, a rare stance in today's fight game. Arman Tsarukyan says he'd chase the bigger paycheck over rankings if he became champ. Before his clash with Islam Makhachev, Arman Tsarukyan made it clear, if he had won the UFC title, legacy wouldn't be his top priority, the money would. Speaking with Pound for Pound podcast, Tsarukyan admitted he'd let the UFC decide his next opponent based on the biggest payday, not necessarily the top contender.
I'll take care about this fight, and from this fight, I'm gonna when I win the title, the sport things is done. It's gonna start just business, and I'm gonna pick with who UFC pays me more. I'm gonna fight, and doesn't matter who is gonna be.
Hey,
it's gonna be business things, not just the sport.
I like that. I like that.
So you're going from legacy to business. Is that what you're telling me, Arman?
No, right now it's a legacy to be a champion. It's my goal to be a champion. But after that, and then business. And then business. After this fight, when I'm champion, I'm just gonna think about money, not about to be a 2 times champion or like defend 10 times. I'm just gonna think about like money fights.
Hey!
Tony Ferguson blasts Khabib and Conor. Speaking with Misfits Boxing, the former interim UFC lightweight champion took aim at both Khabib Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor, accusing them of ducking fights when the UFC needed them most, and claiming he was the one who answered the call.
Not gonna no more. I can't. For the last 4 years in MMA, like when Khabib and Conor never wanted to fight because those fucking guys are. You stepped them forward in the line. And a lot of people, they just don't do it. Like a lot of the fights didn't interest me. This is another avenue for me as an athlete to be able to demonstrate my talent.
Renato Moicano slams UFC business model. Renato Moicano isn't pulling any punches, and this time, it's not in the cage. Appearing on the Ariel Helwani show, the outspoken lightweight contender delivered a scathing critique of the UFC's business practices, saying he has no interest in playing politics or currying favor with the promotion.
Like ultimately, when it comes to the settlement, do you recognize the fact that the UFC came to an agreement with the fighters and said, look, we're okay with this? And I think other, UFC officials were asked this, were like, you will not be penalized, you will not, like, we're at peace with this.
Yeah, but that's more the point, I have a list of points doing,
yes.
and I saw a lot of people say, hey, Moicano, you want to be in the good wise with the
yes.
UFC. I cannot care less about UFC. They are a company. You know, they want profit. And how you do profit? You maximize your gains and you cut the expenses, you know? And UFC fighters are expenses. We saw like the Silvas and all the champions. Now, UFC doesn't care about them. And that's okay. That's business. I'm not friend UFC. I am a, like they say, like, I'm not employee, and I'm not saying that I want to be or I don't want not to be, but this is just about money. Is my work, you know? I'm not planning to be friends with UFC after I'm done.
Arman Tsarukyan on Khamzat Chimaev's training habits. Arman Tsarukyan believes Khamzat Chimaev's biggest threat isn't his opponent, it's himself. Speaking ahead of Chimaev's highly anticipated title clash with Dricus Du Plessis at UFC 319 in Chicago on August 16th, Tsarukyan gave fans an inside look at the Chechen-born fighter's intense preparation.
В этом лагере он прибавил восстановление и функциональную работу. То есть он работает над функционалкой 2 раза в неделю отдельно, помимо спаррингов, помимо борьбы, он работает с тренером именно по функционалке.
Ну,
и
кардио, да, условно?
Кардио, да. И я думаю, что в этом бою он должен хорошо дышать.
То есть ты считаешь, что сейчас над ним поработали, да?
Да, сейчас он его проверяет каждый день, его восстановление, он встает и есть монитор, где показывает его восстановление каждое утро, и если он находится в яме, то
из ямы вытаскивают,
дает больше отдохнуть, чтобы он был свеж и мог выполнить, потому что ты, если придешь перетренированный на спарринг, ты не сможешь отработать. И из-за этого вот этого парня нужен человек, который будет 24/7 контролировать его и останавливать, чтобы он не перетренировался. Очень работоспособный.
Ben Askren shares positive update from hospital. The former UFC star shared a new video update from his hospital room where he continues to recover following a recent lung transplant. In the clip, Askren revealed that while he's still not sure when he'll be discharged, things are moving in the right direction. Before we continue, help us reach our goal of 100 subscribers here on MMA Explorers. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our daily MMA content.
What's up, guys? Update number 9. So I gotta kick some butt on this walker. I did a full lap earlier. That was the first time I did a full lap. So I'm gonna try to do a full lap again. Hopefully I see I'm making some progress and getting better even though I'm stuck here in the hospital.
5.
That's progress. I'm gassed. Seems that if one lap of walking can get you there tired. But that's my almost 3rd lap today, so I'm making some good progress. Hope you guys are doing the same with your laps.
Let's wrap it up for the day. Thanks for watching.